All right, let's talk about a feeling that I think we all know way too well these days. Just being completely overwhelmed. We're going to explore why today's generation is facing this unique storm of information, and more importantly, try to figure out a path to find some clarity in all that noise. Let's get into it.
So, let me ask you something. Does it feel like you just blinked and suddenly it's years after 2020? Seriously, where did the time go? It's not just you. It really feels like someone hit the fast forward button on the world, and just trying to keep up is exhausting. But why is this happening? And who's feeling it the most? So, to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to start with the basics. In our first section here, generation, confusion, and reality, we're going to diagnose the problem. We'll look at the generation right at the center of all this, the kind of wild world they grew up in, and the confusing reality it's created for them. Okay, quick timeline, just so we're all on the same page. You've got the baby boomers, then Gen X, and then the millennials. But our focus today, that's Generation Z. We're talking about anyone born roughly between 1996 and 2012. They are the young adults and teenagers who are really shaping the world we live in right now. So what's the big deal with Gen Z? Well, it's pretty simple. They are the first generation of true digital natives. You see, millennials, we remember a time before the internet was everywhere. But for Gen Z, there's never been a world without it. This isn't just a part of their lives, it's the air they breathe. And for Gen Z, especially in a place like India, this whole digital life got put on hyperdrive. A few key things happened. The internet went public in 1995, sure, but the real game changer was in 2016, when Geo made data super cheap and available to everyone. Then you throw in the explosion of TikTok around 2018 and top it all off with the COVID lockdown that forced everything online. It was the perfect storm. And what happens when you mix all that together? You get this state that some people call hyper-reality. And what that really means is the line between the online world, the filtered, curated, perfect-looking world, and the actual real world just gets super, super blurry. It's hard to tell what's real anymore. This creates this massive internal conflict, right? On one side, you have the virtual life you see on social media. It's all perfect moments, luxury vacations, and getting tons of validation. But then on the other side, you have the reality for so many young people: constant struggle, money worries, and just total confusion about what to do with their lives. And that gap, that constant comparison, is just draining. And look, this isn't just a vibe or a feeling. The numbers are, well, they're pretty scary. A staggering 42% of Gen Z report serious psychological distress. Look at that. That's way higher than millennials and almost 3 times as high as boomers. This isn't just some phase. It's a genuine mental health crisis, and it's fueled by all the pressures we've been talking about. Okay, so that's the outside world. But what is all of this doing to us on the inside? That brings us to our next idea, this concept of an overload of mental RAM. What happens in our minds when we are just constantly bombarded with everything? I love this analogy because it's so simple. Think of your brain like a computer. You've only got so much RAM, right? That's your working memory. It's the space you have available to actually think, process your day, and make decisions. And here's the key. It is not infinite. There's a limit. So, what's clogging up all that precious mental space? You know what it is. It's the constant ping of notifications, the endless scroll through reels and shorts, the drama in the group chats, the pressure to watch the new hit show, to post your own stories, to figure out what to do next, and all while constantly comparing your life to everybody else's. There's just no room left to actually think. This leads to the big question, right? If we kind of know this is bad for us, if we feel drained and distracted, why are we still stuck in this loop? Why can't we just stop? This next part, The Trap of Fear and Peanuts, uses 2 really powerful stories to explain why we stay trapped. Let's start with fear. This is based on a true story of an escape from Alcatraz prison. A group of inmates spent months meticulously planning this impossible escape. The night finally comes, the path to freedom is wide open, and one of the prisoners just freezes. He's too scared. He was afraid of the temporary pain of getting caught, a few days in isolation, and he chose the familiar comfort of his cage over a lifetime of freedom. And then there are the peanuts. This is a classic trap, and it works like this. A hunter puts some peanuts in a jar with a narrow opening. A monkey can easily slide its open hand in to grab them, but once it clenches its fist around those peanuts, its hand is too big to pull out. Now, to get free, all it has to do is let go of the peanuts. But it won't. It will literally sacrifice its freedom for a handful of cheap peanuts. So that's the question we have to ask ourselves, isn't it?
What are our peanuts? What are the trivial little things we refuse to let go of? Is it the need to see every single story, the fear of missing out on some gossip, the mindless comfort of scrolling instead of actually doing something? Figuring out what your peanuts are is the first crucial step to getting free.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, the overload, and the traps that keep us stuck. It sounds a little bleak, I know. But now let's pivot to the solution. And the way out isn't some new app or a life hack. It's a deep shift in how we pay attention, which we'll call the art of living consciously. This quote just hits so hard because it's so true. Today, we are not living in moments, but in habits. Just think about your day so far. How much of it did you spend on complete autopilot? We wake up, we grab our phone and scroll, we work, we eat, we scroll again. It's all just a chain of habits, not conscious choices. We're barely even present for our own lives.
The solution then is this idea of hoshmejina. It's about living consciously, living with awareness. It means snapping out of that autopilot mode. It means making deliberate, intentional choices about where you put your focus and your energy, right here in the present moment.
Now, that all sounds amazing, maybe a little abstract, but how do we actually do that? How do we start? Well, that's what this final section is all about. It's about taking today's first step. First things first, we have to completely blow up one of the biggest myths out there, the myth of motivation. So many of us think we need to feel motivated before we can take action. We sit around and wait for this magical bolt of inspiration to strike. But you know what? It almost never comes. So we don't do anything and we stay stuck. But here's the secret. We have it completely backwards. The reality is that action comes first. You just start. You do the thing, even when you don't feel like it. And that tiny bit of progress you make, that is what creates the feeling of motivation. And then that new motivation makes it easier to take the next action. It's a powerful loop, but it has to start with action. So when? When do you take that first tiny action? When's the best time to start? There's only one answer. It's not tomorrow. It's not next Monday after you're ready. It's today, right now. The past is gone. The future is just an idea. The only time you actually have any power is right now, today. And here's how you do it without getting totally overwhelmed. Don't worry about building the entire wall of your future life. Thinking about that is paralyzing. Forget the wall. Your only job, your only focus, is to lay one single brick, as perfectly as you can, today. That's it. That's the whole game. You know, we started this whole conversation by talking about Gen Z, a generation that was shaped by the world they were given. So let's end by looking forward. As you learn to navigate this noise, to live a little more consciously, and to act with intention, what kind of example are you setting? What lessons about focus and resilience will the next generation learn from you?